It's time for OWC Radio. Tech Talk with Creatives. Conversations with host Cirina Catania.
And we are rolling. This is Cirina Catania with OWC Radio, and I am so excited. Scott McLeslie is on the phone with me. We've been chasing around trying to get this interview done for at least a month now, but his production schedule is unbelievable. Scott, where are you and what is happening today? Oh, by the way, I should tell people what you do so they have a little bit of background. Scott is the Chief Technical Officer at Village Studios and Black Hangar. He's a DIT, specializing in 3D stereo and 360 imagery engineering, and he's also a post-production supervisor. And he's been around for a while now, even though he's quite young. So we have a lot to talk about today, and let's start off with asking you, where are you? Where are you going? What's happening today for you?
All right. Hello, everybody. It's super exciting to be on this show, and at the moment, I am traveling to New York. We just wrapped a shoot for the first block of Salvage Marines, which is a sci-fi movie that I was not only doing DIT, I was flying some drones, shooting some camera, and now I am off to do some establishing shots for our next thing.
Oh, my goodness. So it sounds like, are you in a car? You're literally traveling. I mean, when you say you're traveling, you're literally in the car, right? Sounds like it.
Yeah, I am. Don't worry. I'm not behind the wheel, so safe to talk.
Okay, good. No texting while you drive. I'm glad you're not driving. That's awesome. So you're headed to the airport. Where are you currently?
New Orleans.
Oh, you're in New Orleans.
We started off in Baton Rouge, and we are almost at the airport in New Orleans.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're just going to keep asking you questions. So first of all, let's just set a stage for what is Village Studios? What do they do, and who do they do it for?
Okay, Village Studios is a pretty interesting project in terms of its size and capacities, because the way it was built, it's relatively new. The major renovations happened 3 years ago. So what we tried to do is we tried to take the top of the top technology, basically shrinking a full-size production studio into a very, very small footprint of a property, keeping everything we need to run a full-scale production of Tier 2, Tier 3, if we must. So, and should I say we succeeded? Because last productions we did, Jeepers Creepers, Blaze, those are movies you don't actually shoot in the middle of nowhere in a really tiny studio. Yet we managed to do it. So Village is an interesting high-tech way of seeing cinematography.
Village does a combination of soundtrack work, audio work, film work, television work, correct? I mean, it's all over the board. Okay.
It's a studio that has a full cycle of production, starting from script works up to delivery, up to international delivery. Last feature we did, we delivered straight off the studio to theaters as DCPs, and a copy went to Cannes. So yes, it's a one-stop shop for anything you need.
Well, I'm on the website and I'm seeing pictures of Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born. I'm seeing images of Willie Nelson. I can hear you getting out of your car. You're at the airport. You're just such a trooper to do this while you're traveling. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So this is amazing. You know, when you work in production, you just got to seize the moment, don't you? If we don't do this now, we're probably not going to have another chance. So when you get to, tell us a little bit about Salvage Marines. When you get to New York, what are you going to be doing? You're shooting some plates, or what are you doing for Salvage Marines?
New York is going to be a different gig. I am still obliged not to talk about it in terms of the NDA. But yes, this is going to be plate shots from the drone. And there is a special twist to it. That's why I need to physically go there and do it myself.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're going to have to talk to you again. So let's go back to Salvage Marines. What is that project, and what have you been doing on it?
That's a really interesting sci-fi TV movie that's going to be released probably sometime early next year. And this is really weird because the way we set up this project in terms of the budget allocated to it, it was never going to actually happen. But purely juggling technology, we actually made it possible to squeeze this production into this kind of a budget. And with certain artistic decisions that we made, we took very old lenses, anamorphic lenses for this gig, which is not the usual way to go if you're trying to meet a short budget. But what we ended up with is an image that looks like tier 3 production with all the glory of anamorphic frames. That was basically shot by a tiny crew in a fraction of time that you used to shoot such projects with. And most importantly, this was possible because of the DI workflow that we implemented there. We had our editor working with the set online, real time. So he was basically cutting as we went. There was a 5 to 10 minute gap in between a camera stopped recording and the editor actually getting the tape. So before we broke down the set, we had a green light from the editor that we're okay. We have all the shots we need. We have all the inserts we need. Break down the set. There was zero reshoot on this gig. And this is mostly done because the DI workflow allows us to produce editorial footage in real time.
Jeez. So this is season 1. It's season 1. I just want to set the stage for people so they can keep this in the back of their mind because this is radio. We're talking about season 1 and where is this airing? Is this going to air on traditional television or is this for Netflix or where's this going to be?
That last I checked, distribution team was winking at me and saying that we should talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
So I think there is something big coming up with this, and don't know what it is, but they look excited. They look super excited.
Knowing you guys, it's going to be something awesome. I'm looking on IMDb, and I see it's starring Casper Van Dien, Armand Assante, and Elle Lamont, among others, and directed by Shaun Paul Piccinino, did I pronounce that correct?
Shaun Piccinino, a wonderful person to work with. He can energize with his enthusiasm the entire crew. It's very pacey. I enjoy working with him. He knows his deal.
Well, he definitely looks like an alpha male, judging from these pictures I'm looking at. So, okay, so you worked on. How long did you work on Salvage Marines, and where was that shot?
Another interesting fact about Village Studios is we tried to do as much as possible either on the property or like 15 minutes away from it. So the entire thing was shot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right around where the studio is.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there is some really exciting scenery with partially abandoned structures, factories in the background. So it really worked for us to depict planets with poor ecological situations. Picture looks really wonderful.
Oh, I can hardly wait. This is going to be fun. So tell me again what your role was on that film. What different parts did you play?
that was really interesting because on this specific movie, I mostly focused on camera works since agility of my camera rig was pretty much needed there. So I stepped being camera B, action camera, but my team was doing all the DI, so I kind of supervised that since the main DIT on this gig was one of the graduates from my mentorship program that I run.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I can tell you about it if you want. But basically, under my supervision, I had two of my team members grinding through DI workflow, and that was nothing easy because we shot those on RED Helium, so full resolution. So that was about 10 to 20 with all the plates we did per day, 10 to 20 terabytes.
So you were shooting 8K off the helium?
Yep, and you cannot crop this down because you'll crop the lens. You'll crop the physical image, and since we committed to such an untrivial selection of lenses, we didn't have that much of a range, so we could easily allow ourselves some cropping. So it was all shots, pure 8K.
Wow.
Nothing easy in there.
No latitude for error. You've got no room for error with shots like that. So you're shooting on the helium. Who made the lenses that you were using?
Oh, actually, the lenses are amazing. So it's Hockey lenses, and those are actually ancient Russian Lomo lenses that were rehoused into a new housing in China. So the lens itself just traveled the world at least one time just to get to us. And this lens is 40 years old. So it does bring all the character, all the history of cinematography that it physically had through itself. You touch this lens, you realize that, something wonderful happened with this thing.
Wow. So how did you retrofit this to the RED camera? Did you have to take it to a special outfitter to have that lens? I mean, what happened there?
No. It's actually, it's a good question because those lenses, nobody likes them because they're old and they're tricky to work with. They breathe like hell, and I'm talking like certain specific lenses. You cannot focus rack back in the shot. You will see the play. So with all those restrictions and limitations those old lenses bring, you have to kind of dance around them. But for the housing itself, it's a PL mount, so it really fits. Except this PL mount is just screwed onto a flat lens back, so it kind of plays as is. So throughout the gig, I had to, most of the lenses visited the bench at least twice. I had to realign them a little bit to keep working because just wear and tear throughout one gig kind of needs this lens to be serviced a little. So now that's why nobody works with them. That's where you get the authentic picture.
Oh my gosh, there's so much history with those lenses, and there's just something wonderful about stepping back in time. So I'm just curious about the production meeting when you were talking about the camera you wanted to use and the lenses you were going to use. What was that conversation like? Because this lens actually becomes a character in the film, doesn't it? I mean, it has so much personality of its own. What went into the decision?
This lens definitely is a character because just committing to anamorphic, you basically shoot your frame holds more information, so your creative side starts to think what else can you populate this frame with. The lens dictates how you will approach this picture, and the lens dictates the action in the shot. The lens dictates movement. It is a character, and this character has a character to it.
Oh, I can hardly wait to see this. So do you think you're gonna keep using this lens throughout the series?
We basically locked it down to being the lens for this gig. It defines the picture, and we're not jumping off it. It's very hard to work. For example, and this is the 40-year-old lens in a sci-fi movie. It's basically past meets future. So you have to, as any action sci-fi movie, you have to have a lot of action, dynamic scenes in it. And dragging the lens is super heavy. And dragging it on an easy rig or on a Ronin, it's just purely painful.
What is it? How much do you think it weighs? Do you think it weighs like 15 pounds or something, or is it heavier than that?
I'm a metric person.
Oh.
The entire rig was about 39 kilos.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yep, that's back to 40 years ago.
But since I do have some experience flying stereo rigs back in the days, that's kind of felt familiar.
Yeah, so you have to be strong to do that.
This is on the limits of basically gimbal capacities. I can do more, but the gear needs to catch up with me. So yeah, basically it's as big as it gets.
Wow. So you've got to be tired at the end of the day, right?
Tired but happy.
Yeah.
Cinematography is nothing of an easy job to do, but if we still do it, something does attract us to it, right? And for me, it's excitement. It's always excitement.
You know, I want to step back a minute, and then we're going to come back to the workflow. But I'm very curious about you and when you were a child, and where were you living, and when did you first realize that you were this wonderfully creative person? What did you like to do when you were 5, 7 years old?
I liked to. I was really good at breaking stuff. But since I spent most of my childhood in Russia, there was not too much of an infrastructure to repair stuff I broke. So when my mom got her first computer, and obviously I broke it in 20 minutes.
Oh no!
She told me that, okay, son, this is the reality. I have to do work, and this thing does not work. So whatever you must, go to a library, read a book or something. But this thing needs to get fixed. I didn't want to upset my mom. So I guess that was the first time I fixed the computer.
That's awesome.
Since then, the part how it works dominated over the part over any other aspect about a piece of technology. So definitely, when something new like 3D or 360 imagery pops up, I'm the first to jump it, and I'm the first to explore it.
So you're definitely an adventurer, right?
Yeah, and I totally like abusing technology and basically misusing it, just to figure out if it works or not. Because this is how you invent. This is how you come up with something new. Take something that already exists and try to mix it together.
So you've got to have really fast drives to run all of this media. I mean, if you're shooting between 10 and 20 terabytes a day, where is that going, and how are you managing that media? Talk to me about the DIT side of all of this.
All right. So basically, for the last half a year, my magic wand would be a Thunderblade drive from OWC, which is just, should I say, ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
It made it possible. So I basically run a small distributed network for transcoding using numbers of conventional machines to bring me some computing power. Nobody's using them nighttime anyway, so basically, for the transcodes, I shouldn't say steal, but I definitely rely on computing power of every single machine we have in the studio, and I'm not talking just editorial machines with high processing power. I'm talking everything. I'm talking office machines. I'm talking Mac Minis that we play out music in the bar with, everything. And when it adds up, it's really fast. But it always needs a fast hard drive to feed all these machines their chunks of data to transcode. And this is where OWC Thunderblade comes into play, because it's a drive that is big, that is fast enough, not just for one machine, but for 4 simultaneous streams, 6 if you must.
Wow.
And this is the trick that actually allowed us to have a team of 3 people grinding through the entire footage, producing editorial material. And I'm not talking just the side stream that RED firmwares know how to figured how to do. You can record a RAW and you can record a ProRes, for example, for the editor straight on the camera, but it cripples the camera, it cripples the bandwidth of the camera, so we could not allow ourselves that. It would cap our resolution, so we couldn't go that way, so we had to physically transcode everything, being synced with sound, pre-LUTed, and pre-graded, and that's what our editor got as a footage to work with.
Wow. Okay. So you actually applied the LUT on the set.
We actually produced looks on set according to the scene we're shooting, because during your normal shooting day you're jumping back and forth from one scene to another, and they're not usually meant to be cut side by side. So you got to shift from place to place. And that's basically how it goes. So you can't just upload one LUT and call it a day. You have to constantly tweak, change, and do a full-on color grading on set. And for that, we use Qtake.
I'm sorry, you broke up. Okay.
We use Qtake. Qtake. That is a software. I think it comes from Slovakia, and basically this is a tool to give you ultimate possibilities on set with video assist and everything you might want set-wise. So basically we grade with Qtake and live grade junction. And that goes imprinted as metadata into every R3D that gets exposed on set.
Can I ask you a naive question? Because I'm just wondering, is that non-destructive or is that actually baked in?
No, that's nothing. Nothing is destructive with those workflows, because the R3Ds and initial set of metadata that camera produces is basically read-only as soon as it gets off the sensor. The only place you can manipulate this data is only after 2 backup copies are produced, and all the checksums are checked and matched. This way you can ensure that if you mess up something, at least you have another copy to restore from. Mm-hmm. Before that, as I like to joke with my students, one button that's missing from DIT's keyboard is delete.
I'm sorry, is the what?
It is a delete button.
Oh.
We don't delete anything, even if it's ridiculous and should be deleted. We can mark it for deleted later, but we never use the delete button on set, ever.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to know what's in the director's mind, too, as much as they're good at communicating. There may be something that looks absolutely ridiculously wrong, but fits somewhere in the final cut. You're really smart about that. So can you walk me through a piece of media and take me through the workflow? So, you've got your scene, you've got your camera, the media goes into the camera, and walk me through how it's handled from there. For example, anyway, I don't want to jump ahead too far.
Let me break this. Let me break down this workflow for you super quick.
Okay.
So it's a RED camera that obviously exposes on a card.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the camera sticks the usual Teradek for the focus puller,
Mm-hmm.
and another lead goes to our on-set Video Village card, which is just one. It's not even a card. It's a Peli case on a C-stand, so you can take this thing with one hand, take the C-stand with another hand, and it's super mobile. Runs off the batteries, and it's run and gun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need a chase car to follow a picture car, you can just toss that in and ride immediately. You don't need to rig anything,
Mm-hmm.
which adds a certain level of agility to the entire show. After that, that card has an Aja as a capture device
Mm-hmm.
for the computer that runs Qtake. And Qtake takes this image, encodes it into an H.264 stream, and distributes it on the local network to companion apps on iPads and iPhones, and name it. We have it for it. So everybody can see live image off the camera wherever they are on set.
That's awesome.
This is very important for
Mm-hmm.
dynamic lights, for any close-up, for makeup and costume, so they don't miss anything. We don't need a crowd over one monitor, and usually with director somewhere in it not being able to make decisions just because it's too loud.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want any of that, so director has his own iPad. Everybody who needs has their own iPads, and everybody is keeping their cool and keeping their quiet. On that station, there is an ability to pre-grade live image as well as any previously shot take. So you can go back to something you shot previously and apply the LUT that you just created back to that previous clip, and the metadata will be followed up to the director and basically attached to this raw file, so you will never lose this information.
That's awesome.
This information gets synced from Qtake metadata. Basically, Qtake metadata is getting added up to our 3D metadata upon the offload of the card. Obviously, all of those machines are connected to one network, and the machine that does the offload basically asks Qtake for metadata for the clips it's currently holding. So everything gets synced automatically, and not just that. Another copy of the footage is generated with the Qtake itself, with SDI feed that's going off it by Qtake. It records a chosen format, which for me is usually ProRes, since I'm a Final Cut guy, but our editorials are mostly Avid, so I do another one of DNX HDs. And you don't need a 444 off the RED SDI, since it does not deliver anything worth keeping in such a thick codec.
Okay.
But what it is, it's 422
Mm-hmm.
or even ProRes LT, just for convenience and speed to work with it.
Mm-hmm.
And DNX HDs are generated on the fly as yet another stream, and this goes straight to the editor with the sound that's coming off the mix board that's going actually back into the camera. So I have a proxy mix down of sound synced to an R3D file, just because this is another layer of protection against errors that I do like to have on my workflow. Basically, if the time code goes off, if naming goes wrong, you still have that audio track you can perfectly sync your footage to one another with, just because it was embedded when you were exposing the card.
Mm-hmm.
So just another trick that would save me if everything else fails. After that, DNXs, since it's a pretty light codec, get uploaded to the cloud using a truncated device that holds 5 USB dongles connected to different cell phone services. So it gets me, wherever I am, it gets me a pretty good bandwidth to the cloud. And that gets uploaded to the cloud, and the editor can start working with it as soon as it gets uploaded. And then the entire workflow takes about, 5 minutes to process any given footage.
Wow,
from both cameras.
So you're working with proxies, and then you'll marry it later. That's reminds me. It's like the old offline, online.
Nothing actually happened since then, because we used to have this as a digital intermediate. Now it's the other way around. Now you have to have the same process, but for proxies, just because your original media is too heavy and bulky to work with for the editor and for the rest of the team except the colorist. Nobody touches a raw footage but the colorist.
That's perfect. So what NLE is he using? Is he on Final Cut?
Oh, it's mostly Avids now.
Okay.
It's mostly Avids, but recently, and I'm a huge advocate for this, I like running everything on DaVinci, like the entire workflow on DaVinci. It usually takes an editor who is up for the challenge, because it's new and nobody got used to it yet. Mm-hmm. But if you stick to DaVinci for NLE, for sound, for grading, and for delivery, it's fast.
Yeah, it is.
It cuts you at least 2 jobs on overall transcoding and conform to one click of a button. Yeah, basically everything. After we're done with the cuts and we have an EDL, which is edit decision list, which is a small XML file that is a text file with. Hold up, that's the chopper passing by. All right. That's a tiny XML file that basically says go from first second of clip 1 and take everything to second number 10. Then go to clip 2, take from second 4 to second 5, and it's just a list of edits. With that, conformed to the original footage. That's the first place original footage comes into play, and that's for colorists. So yeah, we're working proxies.
How is DIT going to be handled in the future, in your mind?
I'm pretty sure most of my colleagues will hate me for this, but I'm sorry, folks. We're not meant to be on set. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty radical. So. How is that going to work?
Let me explain this to you.
Yeah.
So I've been doing DIT for almost 8 years, 10 years now, and throughout my career, I experienced so many different variations of how a DIT should be used on sets. There is never a standard, and what grinds my gears is there is never a project that utilizes the potential of a DIT 100%. We either don't know that, we either never knew that this feature ever existed, or we just don't have time for this, or the DIT is not experienced enough to do all this in some realistic time framing. Because grading or editing on set takes not just understanding how you edit. It takes you a really unique approach, because you have to do it in a hurry. You have to do it in a most uncomfortable space. And yes, the light will be bleeding on your monitor. And get a black T-shirt if you're up for the challenge. That's like that. But throughout summarizing all of that, I realized that most important part that DIT actually does for the gig is done on pre-production. Establishing correct workflow that does work for the specific gig, for the specific genre, and for the specific pacing production chose for the shoot is the most important task for a DIT. If you can build a workflow that is perfect, it will run on its own. You're not needed there. Because what we're confusing and what everybody loves to confuse about DITs, there are two distinguished professions. There's a data wrangler or data manager, or and there is an actual DIT who does not offload cards, who does not sit and stare at silver stacks. He is a guy to understand everything from the sensor being exposed with picture to the delivery to the furthest theater in the world that's featuring your movie. Unless this is not that, sorry, dude, you're not a DIT.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen very little people with that much with the entire knowledge for them to operate with, because most of the times it's not needed. We just don't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So my idea was, instead of having a super competent person trying to wrangle very heavy equipment through sets, there's a running joke about deploy DIT on different meme sites, because the card itself is just super bulky, and usually it stays in the camera truck just because you don't need it on the set itself. Well, what do you know? If it stays in the camera truck, can I stay in an air-conditioned studio then? If I'm not on set anyway? Like, what challenge do I have to what do I have to solve to make that happen? Do I have to increase bandwidth from someplace to someplace, or do I have to transcode it on site so I don't have to have huge bandwidth to actually push this footage through the cloud? So it takes smart decisions on the start to basically automate the process while you go. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying a person with an understanding is not needed there at all. Well, if something breaks, you're the first to be called. Right. But for the general normal operations, this person is not needed. Like, grading wise, 7 out of 10 gigs would either ask you to pre-grade the upcoming shot, but still revert to 709 looks to put the lights properly. Mm-hmm. The only feature I witnessed color grading on set actually benefiting the picture is where we shot a lot of night scenes, and we had to we had to basically grade it to dark night, and then DP was adding a little bit of flare lights after the grading, looking at live picture. He added some additional like supplemental lights looking at the graded picture. He wouldn't be able to see any of these if it was not graded to darkest night we can possibly have. Mm-hmm. So that was an advantage. We actually benefited from that. In most cases, when it goes against time, like, okay, we will see this shot as it is right now, or give me 20 minutes, I'll grade it for you. We don't have 20 minutes.
No, you don't.
So you can never imagine how much frustration it brings to a DIT that is there, that wants to do it, that knows how to do it, that almost done it, but no, you can't have those 2 minutes. Sorry. And it's understandable because those 2 minutes are needed elsewhere. So
you step back and you run Rec 709 on the monitors and
yeah, not because there is something wrong with my grade, with my color. It's just because the DP feels more comfortable looking at familiar 709
right.
In terms of balancing out his light scheme.
Right.
And I understand. I would do the same. Because I can reference 709 off memory, where with very deeply graded picture, I'll have to go back and forth to the DIT, asking what's with the highlights here, what's with the shadows, can we add here, can we remove there? It's a process. So for smaller gigs, DIT and Data Wrangler should be not their position should be reconsidered, but their task list should be reconsidered.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe shrinking down a little, maybe utilizing a workflow that we didn't discuss yet, but that's something I'm working on right now, and it's coming. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a hardware solution. I can tell you that right now. And yeah.
I want to see this. You have to stay in touch with me. Talk to me for a minute before are you okay on time? Because I know you're at the airport. I don't want to make you miss your flight.
Yeah, I have a little bit more time.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're good.
Let's just talk for a minute about Grand Isle. And I also want to ask you mentioned the Thunderblades, which I think are one of the world's greatest hard drives available now. They're so fast and so reliable. Did you use Thunderblades? You said you used them on Salvage Marines. What is Grand Isle? Talk to me for a moment about that project.
Grand Isle is our previous production that we did with starring Nick Cage, and it's the Grand Isle is a place in Louisiana, on the Gulf, and it's a really deserted city, very. It works from season to season, fishermen, but in between seasons, it's very empty. And the story is about, should I be talking about that? No, I shouldn't be. It's not yet released. Sorry. But what I totally can talk about is how we did the eye workflow there. And funny enough, the whole movie was shot in the studio and in the property right next to it, which is a wonderful Victorian mansion that the movie takes place in. But the actual Grand Isle, I was the only person to go to and get some drone coverage and some establishing shots. So, yeah, I was the only one from the crew to actually see the place. We used we had 2 Reds there. Well, we had 3 Reds working there on 6K, and we also used Thunderblades because the workflow was pretty similar to Salvage Marines. It's just my favorite thing. I tend to drag it from gig to gig. It just works for me. It works for everybody. So we had an online editor there as well. It was his first gig with us with current workflow, so he was kind of wrapping his mind around the spacing. But week 1, he caught up, and since then we were online all the time. So that really sped up the thing.
So how were you using the Thunderblades? What role did they play in the workflow?
They play the key role of being the first medium to receive the first offload of the card.
Okay.
So from that moment on, when it lands on the Thunderblade, certain processes happen to it. It gets transcoded to DNXs. It gets transcoded to H.264s to go up the cloud to be dailies. And the same Thunderblade serves to be offloaded to an LTO, because that's another thing I'm using on set. Since you don't need to touch RED raw footage till you grade, it's a very good place to store it. LTO tapes.
Especially with when you're shooting 8K, you really need the space. That's awesome. Well, the Thunderblades, are you using the new generation that you can stack them, or because these are 4 terabyte, I think, right?
Oh yeah, I'm using the new generation that you can stack. And before, I had some time with previous generation, and I just 3D printed the stamps for those. So yeah, definitely. Since they're passive, since they don't have active cooling, they heat pretty good, and offsets and standoffs is a necessity with Thunderblades. But what do you know? Keeps your hands warm.
Yeah, and I think I need to let you catch your flight. But one question, you in the middle of all of this, you're mentoring young people. How do you do that, and how do you find the time, and why? And then I'll let you go.
That actually is an ongoing thing. I have about 10, the last one was 10. I got 10 graduates from my mentorship program, and goes like this. I take a person from a film school, ideally graduate of a film school, and I bring him along. It feels like internship program that you have on most gigs in United States, but those guys get to bring your coffee, and this does not work with me. I want a person to be hands-on from day one, understanding that responsibility is something he cannot skip. So appearing on set as is, over the shouldering stuff I'm doing, helping, taking over, and it finishes off with him with the intern doing a gig of his own, where I usually man some adjacent position just to see that he's okay. But Salvage Marines had one of my graduates taking over my twisted DI workflow and actually managing to keep up.
Oh,
he's great.
I think that's a wonderful gift to the new generation. You're just teaching them really good business ethics too, and you're providing something to them they don't really get in a lot of internships. You're right about that. A lot of internships just have them schlepping coffee and making copies. How much do you learn doing that? You know.
I drink very hard to brew coffee, so I don't challenge them with it. But as for working with actual footage that costs actual money, that's something that will inevitably happen to you. So why not starting it with like right now?
Yeah. Oh, Scott, thank you so much for taking the time. Where can people go on the internet to find out more about you, Village Studios, and your company, which is Black Hangar?
Yeah, it's either blackhangar.com. I have a small personal site that is scotty.ru that I rarely update, but definitely you can find my information there. And I don't know, if somebody wants to apply as my next intern, I'll be happy to see the applications. So why not?
That's awesome. So in order to do that, would they go to Black Hangar or to Village Studios?
They would go to Village Studios. That's where I'm currently based at.
Okay.
I'm thinking, I don't know about my plans for London, but currently I'm in Louisiana, and that's where I operate from, and that's where we're going to be studying at.
Well, this is great. And I want to thank OWC not just for sponsoring this radio show, but also for providing filmmakers like you with amazing equipment that they can use reliably on the set. So you have a wonderful, wonderful trip. Thanks for doing this. And when you can talk about this new project, let me know and we'll interview you again, okay?
I would gladly come back to your show and talk about that when that is possible. Thank you for having me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Everyone, that was Scott McLeslie with Village Studios. I'm Cirina Catania. And remember what I tell you, get up off your chair and go do something wonderful today. Thanks for listening, and thanks to OWC for sponsoring our show. Have a wonderful day.